So hello and welcome. Today at the second edition of Teddy Talks with the man of the year, Jonathan Doughty, good friend of the industry, everybody knows him. And we want to talk a little bit about 2018, what happened, what shaped the industry, but also look a little bit into the next year, 2019, what's going to happen, what's his point of view. But let's start with 2018, Jonathan. What have been, from your point of view, the top events? What has shaped our industry? What happened from a helicopter perspective? Because you know all the trends, you know all the countries. What happened this year?
I think this year has been all about money. It's been all about money coming into our industry from various sources and acquiring food service businesses. And I'm very proud of that. I think we all need to know that the food service industry is one that's not always regarded as being a profession of quality, but it is, and it's now attracting serious investment from serious people. And I think this year, 2018, has been the benchmark year of deals being done that have set new standards, new records, in fact. But it's also been a year of honesty as well. It's been a year when, as food service professionals, we've had to listen and take note of what people are saying and do things beyond what we're legally entitled to do as well.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think the example with Pret and the very sad death of the lady who had a very unfortunate incident in their store, they were legally compliant, and yet it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to save her life, and it wasn't enough for the business. And Clive Schley has taken the right view, in my opinion, and decided to go beyond legislation. It wasn't adequate, fine, but it was legally compliant. I think it's very important that we think of our consumers now as needing to know. We must provide them with this information if we're going to be able to give them the sort of experiences that we should do.
Yeah. And how about trends? What trends did you see in terms of food, in terms of concept 2018? What food is rising? Which hyped food is slightly disappearing? How you see it? Because we're both foodies, as you can see.
Passionate, massive food is literally massive food.
So what did we see in terms of trends? What is a sustainable food trend?
Well, I mean, I'm probably a victim of one of those in that I run around and enjoy everything, but I'm slowly managing to drop a few kilos, and I think it's because I think they call it a flexitarian. I'm now eating more food without meat than I ever have done, and I'm searching that out. And so the new healthier bowl concepts, the poke concepts, they're all providing me with the opportunity to eat that sort of food out of home. Healthier concepts, salad bars.
Do you want to name any which is catering?
Well, I think Beets and Roots out of Berlin in Germany is a really interesting concept for me. I really enjoy going there. I enjoy the theatre of it being put together. It's absolute simplicity what goes into it, but they managed to take really simple ingredients and turn them into something that's visually very, very exciting. I think Chloe by Chloe, very interesting in London.
True.
Fascinating. Standing in the queue and listening to people argue that they want milk in their coffee, and they just don't even understand that they can't get dairy milk in the store. There's an awful lot of education, but I like the way the lines are blurring. I like the way that non-vegans, non-vegetarians are using those products and enjoying those products.
What would that mean for the big fast food players or QSR players? Because everything what you name now is very healthy, is very driven by consumer trends. What does it mean for the big guys out there? What do they need to change, or do they need to change, or do we have two polaric points out there?
We do. We have two polaric points, but you and I are exactly the same. Exactly the same. We do nice and we do naughty. And when we do naughty,
then we do
naughty. Yeah.
That's true.
And the point is that we try and be good for most of the week, and then we use those bonus points that we've accumulated, and then we go out and we're really naughty. So that might be going to fast food, or it might be going to Chicken Shack, or it might be going to eat an amazing burger at Burgerlich or somewhere. But we've bought ourselves the leeway to do that. We don't do that every meal.
But
So there's that
would
balance.
that mean, John, that you need to have in the future healthy concept and non-healthy concept, or you think that the non-healthy one, QSR, the classical fast food guys, need to become more healthy, or do you really think that they should stand separate to each other?
I think you have to look at each menu. I think each concept, you cannot be just healthy. I am struggling, if you ask me, which are the healthy brands which are going to grow and grow and grow and grow. They cannot just be healthy. There has to be an element of indulgence in there as well. You have to want to be able to turn that tap on now and again. So I think brands they're going to be shaded. There's no black and white, but there's going to be some black and some grey and some white, and there's going to be lots of black and some grey and some white with others. So a healthier concept that has a little indulgence, or an indulgent concept that offers a little bit of healthy. But being pure in either end of the spectrum means your appeal is quite narrow. And as soon as your appeal is quite narrow, you have to be absolutely sure where you're sitting in property world will give you the people. Yeah.
So one of the trends you mentioned before was money. I think everybody realized that in Europe things are happening what are very unusual to the world of Europe, but also to the world of food service. We saw a big supplier of us, Coca-Cola, buying Costa Coffee. We see the family Ryman with JAB, who bought Panera Bread, buying into the European market, consolidating. I think the consolidation is a big topic. You saw Alsea, a Mexican player who bought into Spain, France, Benelux. Now you have a real Latin American player dominating some parts of Europe. And a lot more. Friend Henry from Embrace buying Sushi Shop. And the amounts what are paid, 7 million, 5.5 billion, 250 million in terms of Sushi Shop. It's really amounts what we haven't seen before. How you see or how you reflect this M&A trend in Europe? Is this just the beginning, or is this the tip of the iceberg? Or how are you going to see that, and what will happen there next year?
Well, I think we talked a little bit about it earlier. The maturity of the food service market as a revenue producer, as a producer of EBITDA, profit and investment, makes it a very attractive long-term proposition, because we're always going to have to eat. There's no question about that. What we eat changes, and how we eat will change, but we're always going to have to eat. So it's a long-term proposition. It's a good investment. And most of the people who have invested cash at the moment are getting very little return on it. Traditional retail world is suffering, as we know. Property is changing. I'm not going to say it's suffering, but it's just changing, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But the investability of food service is really strong. And with these families, these family funds, Caris Capital is a very good example. The three separate funds, they've got Burger King, they've got Quick, they've got Otakos, and now they've got Nordsee. Big families putting in hundreds of millions into that fund, so they can afford to do big transactions, and they can afford to make big differences in what they're doing. And many of these businesses need some love, they need some attention, and they need capital. But when you give them those things, they still have huge potential to grow. I still think in Europe there is an enormous amount of white space not covered by good food service concepts at the moment.
Any specific country what is even more underdog what will raise? Is there?
I would say this wouldn't I, but Germany at the moment. Germany is astonishing. There's the rise of quality brands in quality casual and above has yet to happen here. Obviously Vapiano were the leaders. We're seeing L'Osteria doing extremely well. We're doing lots of other brands doing nicely at the moment. And, people like Blockhouse, who have been around for years and years and years, still doing what they did and doing it well. But what I'm really interested in is filling in the menu holes and filling in the geographical holes. And there are many of them. And that's not about wiping out the local competition. There's actually room for both. But what we've got to do is make it more accessible for people to go out and enjoy themselves.
So as an Englishman, not in New York, but in Germany, you are now almost here 2 years, I think. You shaking the industry up. What you see in Germany? What have you found? How you see the development? And if you compare UK and Germany, but also take the chance to maybe highlight some of the concepts here in Germany, what you consider as unique and what you consider as having legs for international growth. How you see from a outside perspective, this market was very, very long under the radar. How you see the German market?
It's incredibly wealthy. First of all, let's just talk about disposable income. It's the highest level of disposable income in Europe at the moment. So that in itself is a real positive. Sure. However, it's also one of the most traditional markets in Europe, in that, you know, people are spending their money locally very often. They are very careful about the way they spend their money. The difference between UK and Germany is that UK has got two countries in the UK, London and everywhere else. Germany is a little different. You've got the 7 major cities, but you also have huge cultural differences as you go through Germany in the way that people behave, the way that they shop, the way they spend their money, the way that they go out. And for me, that's been a real learning curve. I knew a lot about it. I have no idea how little I knew until I started the job at ECE. But it's been fantastic, and I've really enjoyed it. But learning how things are moving forward is part of the game, because we've got, as a company, ECE has got to catch up. You know, we've got to start building the real estate that people want to be in. But to be in a country where you don't have some of the major international players, you know, basic ones like TGI Fridays, like Wagamama,
Nando's.
you know, Nando's. It's astonishing. It's astonishing.
So you think they will all come?
Eventually. The problem at the moment, Mario, is we're playing on a world stage now.
Sure.
Food service has become a world stage game. And so the discussion is not Germany or France. The discussion is Europe or America. And most people, quite rightly actually, are plumping for America, because it's, you know, it's a single currency. Okay, there are many cultural differences there, and there are many differences in state laws. Sure. But Europe is a much more complex environment in which to operate in.
I did a study and you know, I interviewed around 15 fast casual players and asked them to compare the main countries, comparing UK with Spain, with France, with Germany. And for Germany, what was quite obvious is the price point of food is very low. Germans, especially for lunch, keep their pockets tight, and the average spending is 8-9 euro. That's why concepts like Vapiano, what stays around this average check, have been so successful. And another downside of the German market was the lack of professional management and players. Because if friends of us call us, to whom should we talk? We want to enter with our brand to Germany, name us the top 10 food operators. I always answer, what do you mean by top 10? If we put the heads together, we maybe have 3 or 4. So how you see these 2 challenges? Will that change, or do concepts need to adopt on that price point?
I think there's a generational change going on in Germany, a cultural change that goes with that. A lot of the research that we do, the people we talk to, especially with the younger people, there's now this, I'm not going to use the restaurant that my parents use.
Generation shift.
Yeah. And so it's almost anti-generational. You know, they haven't fallen out of love with their parents, but they just wouldn't go to the same places that their parents would go to. And so the behaviour patterns are now being opposited deliberately so that the younger people can differentiate. And they're much more interested in experience. They're much more interested, rather than just, you know, the steak on the plate, how big the potato is, how much sour cream do you get, yeah, in an environment that hasn't actually changed for 40 years. That's not what they're interested in. What they're interested in now is technology, music, vibe, you know, cool. I've probably seen more tattoos and beards in Germany than I've ever seen anywhere else in the world. Yeah. Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's on the move. It's on the move.
Top 5 concepts in Germany.
Gosh.
1. Not ranking. What's your top favorites in Germany?
Well, you know, still, and I have to say, and I take my hat off to the guys, L'Osteria, Vapiano, those 2 are absolutely nailing it still.
3 more.
Yeah. That's a real struggle. I mean, I love Burgerlich, I must be honest. I love it. It's small in numbers at the moment, but I really like it. I like what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's clever use of technology. It needs to, because things are not good. I when I first came to Germany, I fell in love with Koa, and it's sort of not done what it should have done over the years. It's coming back now. I've seen a couple of new store fits. We're excited. We're opening with them in Meitzheil in Frankfurt next year, with a completely new store design. So I'm excited by that, because I'm not going to say in the absence of Wagamama, but they rightfully should be able to claim that position if they do it right.
So we've L'Osteria, we've Vapiano, we have Burgerlich, we have Koa, one more.
Well, the one I'm really hanging my hat on, which is completely new to Germany and hasn't even started yet, will be Big Chefs from Turkey, which is absolutely mind-blowingly
So
good.
we will see them coming?
Yeah, they're going to be opening in Meitzheil April next year. It's
Good.
560 square metres of all-day dining. It looks like your living room, although I've never been in your living room, but it looks like a living room. Sofas, chairs, cushions, chandeliers. It's very beautiful. Then do I struggle? Yes, I do struggle. If I then look at what else we have in Germany at the moment, there are many other, Peter Pane. We look at all the other types of burgers and fish, but there's nothing that really excites me. Alex, I know from years ago, I'm ex-Mitchells and Butler anyway myself. I think they still got a long way to go. I'm excited to see what they're going to be doing. Apparently they're bringing Miller and Carter from the UK, but to me that doesn't really take it. And I think there are also hundreds and hundreds of really, really good concepts out there. Single units, sometimes 2 units or 3 units, that
so
actually
we're
have
going to see how
legs.
this scale up.
Yeah.
How good is your German, Jonathan? What can you order?
I can order everything now, from my food, my hotel, my taxi, and in a bar in the evening.
So you can flirt with the girls.
Women. Yes, exactly.
Jonathan, having an Englishman in Germany, obviously we need to talk about UK. So what's happening there? We always look with open eyes to London and say everything what these guys are doing is great. We walk to the streets, one chain restaurant to another. Everybody has private equity, and we heard numbers back then from London what we Austrians, Germans, French, Spanish were like jealous. But now suddenly it seems like everybody's closing down. What's happening there? You found the right moment to leave? It's because of you, or what's happening?
No, it's definitely not because
what's
I
happening
left.
there? Tell us.
I think I just need to tell everybody it was purely by accident that I joined ECE at the time I did. I promise you that. No, I think, there's, as I said earlier, there's 2 countries in the United Kingdom. There's London, there's everywhere else. London is the most remarkable marketplace. It has so many things going for it. It has a massive financial business. It has a huge tourism business. It has a huge worker, resident population business. So whatever you do there is always going to be successful. But you just have to not do too much of it. And with retail declining, more food service space became available and got occupied. And so we pushed it just a little bit too hard.
So it's too much food?
Yeah, just pushing it too hard. Just too much. Now, that was when everything was good. Then the Brexit vote happened, and what that did was take the wind from the sails. It took the confidence out of the economy, it took the confidence out of people, and instead of going out to eat 3 or 4 times a week, they're going out to eat once or twice a week, or maybe less. And so it immediately starts to draw money out of the pool, and then everybody starts to notice. And
but
if you
saw
imagine
big
that,
guys suffering.
Yeah.
You saw Byron closing down, Jamie's, Kalujas. Everybody seems to struggle. Is it because of the high rents, or is it the expectations of the private equity who put the money in? What are the drivers of that? I mean,
it's all of those,
all
and
of that
more.
together.
All of those and more. First of all, they opened too many units, and they weren't careful enough about those units. They weren't careful enough about where they were, the people that were around them, how much business there was. They were incentivized to open them by landlords. We all know that whatever contribution you get, whatever rent free you get, stops at some point, and then you have to start making money out of it.
When the rent kicks in.
Yeah. So there's a really difficult position there. Again, Brexit had an impact on that, but actually that was going to happen anyway. There were too many restaurants hunting too few pieces of real estate, and they all went out there and fought for it. It happened in the coffee wars in the 80s and early 90s. It's happened again with casual dining in restaurants, and the market needs to readjust. And it's going to readjust, and it's been incredibly painful, but it has to happen.
So it's a consolidation, best will survive, and we move on.
As always. I think that's been going on for a few thousand years. It just happens to be in the restaurant industry at the moment, and those that are in the best place are those that have taken care of their brand, have invested in their brand, have not opened without looking where they're going. And I'm afraid the VC, the private equity businesses, have had a bit of a tough time, but in some ways they deserve it, because they are the ones that have also sat there and said you must open 50 units in the next 3 years. And so there are going to compromises be made on where those locations are going to be sometimes.
So you still see it going on 2019, or you think we saw enough blood and...
No, it's going to go on again.
It's going to go on.
It's going to go on again, and we're going to go back into the cycle of building more. There'll be new brands that will have more money that will build. In the time that there have been failures, there have also been some huge successes in the UK.
Sure.
Loungers, the Giggling Squid organisations, people like that, they've done very, very, very well.
Ivy, Brewdog.
Yeah, absolutely. Richard Caring in the press again last week. The Ivy hasn't even started yet as a brand, but these are resilient brands. They're able to cope with the cycle of an economic change.
Do you see, for example, for Ivy, a place in Germany, is this big brasserie style? Would this be a market for them?
They are remarkably close, I think, to many of the great places that exist in Germany already. If you look at Corbin and King and the Wolseley, it's Austrian. Yeah, but it is. It's Amadora. It's Austrian. It's beautiful. And having worked with them on a number of their concepts, the Delaunay specifically. They were taking a really strong traditional continental pitch for their product, because it's elegant and it's sophisticated. Yeah,
and it's for everybody.
So much like you, and it's for everybody. Yes, but this is the point. It's totally inclusive, and yet it feels exclusive. And I think that's the beauty of the Ivy, of the Wolseley, and places like that. It is exclusive, because you can only get a seat there if you book and wait and go in. But actually, anybody can go in there, and they do.
That's, I think, definitely one of the success factors. I think, John, we cannot talk about the food service industry, I think, without mentioning delivery and dark kitchens. So delivery definitely disrupted our industry, starting obviously from UK, but also now on the continent. I did a talk a couple of weeks ago with Henry McGowan, who said he will see 25 to 30% of the food delivered. You saw the Uber Eats, who tries to take over Deliveroo. On the other hand, none of these guys making money. What does that all mean for our industry? How you see the delivery bit, and how you see the dark kitchen, shadow kitchen, or whatever we want to call it. What does that mean for the brands? What does it mean for landlords, like the one you represent? How that will change? Because they are definitely, we're at the beginning, we just only can guess and look into the future. But how you see that bit?
I think it's a little bit like the dot-com boom as well. Many businesses were being invested in, were having massive multiples applied and huge valuations, and they were making no money. And then they settled down, and life became normal, and people made money, and people got paid lots of money for businesses that actually do perform. Every new technology, disruptive technology, has always had that impact. So whether it is .com, or whether it is electric vehicles, or whether it is delivery, the fundamental for me about delivery and dark kitchens is that when the property cannot go to the consumer has to go to the property. They found a way around that. They've suddenly said, you stay where you are. You sit in your boat, and we'll bring the food to you, rather than you having to get up and go to a restaurant. And that's a massive life change, because it wasn't just the small takeaway round the corner that was doing that.
Everybody's
in an informal
Everybody
way.
has to do it.
Everybody's doing it, yeah. So the whole industry has gone from internal facing to external facing. And it's out there, and the tentacles are just spreading wider and wider and wider. And we're going to see the same thing that's happened in delivery and expedition with Hermes and DHL and DPD and all these other companies, where it's going to be faster, quicker and better. I cannot wait for the day, and I'm deadly serious about this, for the day when I can get a restaurant quality meal delivered to my desk or my home, and when it arrives, it's still restaurant quality. That's the fundamental.
I think you always mentioned, and we discussed it several times, when you go to the restaurant, you have a high expectation. If it's not fulfilled in terms of ambience, hospitality, food quality, experience, you go on TripAdvisor, whatever, and you give a bad rating. Everybody of us receives delivery on a very poor condition, and we accept it. It's packed wrong, it's cold, it comes late, etc. So although the technology is there and we see 15, 20, 25%, the hurdle of expectation on delivery is quite low, and you're right, you never receive it that way. But
does
still,
the number 69 mean anything to you?
Why is that?
Well, I'm just wondering if it does.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, so I will tell you why I'm saying that, because when we did a piece of research in our business before I joined JLL, 69 was the percentage that people would place on the quality of their meal if it was delivered to their desk or their home. 69%. So they didn't expect it to be 100%. It came out at 69.
So how often you order at home?
Not very often at all. I love to cook. And I'm not at home as much as I want to be, so I'm there.
So rather going out or cooking,
yeah,
but not
so
so
I
often.
go out because I want to give the kids and my wife a treat, or I cook at home because I like cooking at home. But I think in the office, if it was available, where I am, I mean, we're in the north of Hamburg in a sleepy place called Poppenbüttel. It's very nice. Delivery isn't so easy, and we don't have the brands around us as well. But I think if I was back in London, yeah, I mean, I was on Wagamama twice a week when I was there.
So Henry gave us last time the number 25 to 30%. Is this realistic? Do you see more?
Yeah.
Do you see less? Or is that
easily? I've got a lot of time for Henry and his team. I think they're visionary in what they're doing, but I think he's underestimating that number.
So it will be higher.
I can easily see us being 50-50 over time, and there's two reasons for that. I think the amount of physical real estate that you as a consumer can go into isn't going to grow that much. I think we, as a property company and many other property companies, we're going through a big change as well. And I think that you can't just put restaurants everywhere for when peak demands it. The beauty of a dark kitchen is it's just a machine. It's an engine.
Highly productive.
Yeah. It's like having a V12 Ferrari engine without the very expensive body and everything else. So it's just there when you need it. And when you don't need it, it just sits quietly on an industrial estate somewhere and it's just ticking over. But then when you need it, bang, out comes thousands of meals over the hours that you need to. Without the customer getting in the way. And you know exactly what I mean by that.
Sure.
You know, in Vapiano, you knew that the customer was the variable, because you could pretty much sort out everything else.
True. So Jonathan, you were one of the main players in shaping how food, or which role food plays in the shopping center. In your former roles, you consulted all the big guys. You consulted Unibail, you consulted Westfield, and now you're with the biggest landlord here. How much food can a shopping center handle, or what role should food play? Because the moment at all the conferences we hear the solution is food. It was 5%, just make it 20% and everybody's happy. But that sounds so easy, what it will not be. So how you see it, and what you're going to do in your new projects that retail, destination, leisure, food plans in. What's your magical formula?
Well, I mean, obviously that would be wrong for me to share it with everybody, but I'm going to anyway. Exactly.
It's just us two.
It's just, if you don't tell anybody else, we'll be fine. No, I mean, it's really simple. If you say it's 5% and you're going to be 20%, then you'll get it wrong. And again, we have that problem in the UK at the moment. There is too much food in shopping centres. But the key is the word shopping. You know, the reason people have moved online is because trying to get what they want when they want it wasn't as easy in the shopping centres as they wanted it to be. If you start talking about experience driven, retail, where you're going and enjoying being in a place for a day or half a day with the people you like to be with, being served by people who care about you, with product that's attractive and interesting and engaging, then you're into something which can then be supported by great food and drink and leisure as well. So the fundamental is you have to stop having all of your shopping centre as shopping, first of all. You have to have a decent mix built around your customer base and built around the environment and area that you're in. Opening hours are very important. Nighttime economy is very important. You know, whether we like it or not, a cinema is still the core driver of nighttime business for those sorts of places. But we've just got to stop calling them shopping centres, because they're not anymore.
So how you call them?
I don't know. I don't care. At the end,
So what
at the
about
end of
your
the day,
projects, what you're shaping
Yeah.
now in Germany? How you set them up? What role food plays? Which brands you're bringing in?
Let's look at Maitzeil as a starting point. So it's the 4th floor of a shopping centre.
Frankfurt, for everybody who doesn't know.
Yeah, Maitzeil, Frankfurt. On the Zeil, hugely busy main pedestrianised street in Frankfurt. Jumeirah Hotel to the rear, offices to the rear, lots and lots of footfall. The 4th floor failed. It was just a food area. It failed. It had no anchor. We've cut back the Saturn store on that level, and we now have 16 restaurants, cafes and bars. We've brought the glass back and built balconies that look out over the city. We're putting a collection of amazing restaurants in there, and we've got a wonderful, beautiful Astor cinema, which is top-notch, really, really good.
So which food brands you got?
We've
in
got
there?
Koa going in there,
Mhm.
Alex is going in there, big chefs are going in there from Turkey, which is amazing. We've got a Starbucks, a very elevated Starbucks store.
Mhm.
It's not a roastery, but it's a reserve.
Almost.
Yeah, so it's not as big as. We've got another Chipotle unit in there. We've got some amazing patisserie operators. We've got a really nice mix of things going on. A poke concept.
Mhm.
After what I said earlier, well, how long? We don't know, but I'm really excited by it because it's beautiful food. And, you know, we're serving the office community during the day, we're serving the shopper community, we're serving the residents who live nearby, we're serving the hotel guests. This is one of the interesting things. We've got Jumeirah Hotel and we've got a Turkish restaurant concept that has 57 units around the world.
Top.
Yeah?
Well done.
So we're beginning to think about this, and there are many, many more. Potsdamer Platz, Berlin. What a gorgeous project. You look at it today, the Arkaden, and it's just another shopping centre. You look at what it's going to be in 3 years' time, and it's achingly beautiful. It's exciting. It's emotionally driven retail with incredible food. But this is not going to be just about shops. This is going to be about brand positions, brand statements for these key large retailers. And
Sure.
people will come there and they'll come to play. And this is the way I describe it. They're not going to come to shop, they're going to come to play, but they'll play with their wallet. And that's fine.
Come to play.
Yeah.
You travel so much, Jonathan, to find the right concept. You visited probably all shopping centers around the world. Which concepts you found? Where would you place your money? If I now give you 10 million of a family fund, the Mario Johnny fund, where would we invest?
Having said what I said about vegan food and vegetarian food earlier, I would invest in meat, and that would be chicken, poultry. I think, you know, hats off to Nando's. They're astonishing as a business. I've been very lucky to spend a lot of time with Robert Brosin, one of the original founders.
Top concept.
Top. Beautifully conceived, beautifully delivered. They made a complete pig's ear of it when they came to the UK, first of all. But they sorted it out, and it just rolls. It's fantastic. But chicken is massively under.
But who is the number two? There's no number
Exactly.
two.
People say to me, the number two to Nando's is KFC. No, it's not. I'm talking about quality chicken, not fast food chicken. There is no number two. But I also think that the essence of, if I said to you a spit roasted chicken, a char grilled chicken, you know, the lips start to twinge, the stomach starts to go, thank you very much. there's lots of really nice things that you can do with it, and it just hasn't been touched at the moment. So I would probably go with the small sum of 10. To me, 10 million's not that much. I'll probably go and talk to some other people, and they'll give me 100. But
small.
But do a new chicken concept, because give Nando's their credit. They don't want to come to Germany at the moment. That's fine. They've got other things that they want to do. But I think you could do essentially what Vapiano did with pizza pasta in Germany. You could do that with chicken.
Because it's female-friendly chicken. We don't have any religious issues. It's cheap food cost, as we also know. So it ticks all the boxes.
Yeah.
What else? Chicken and what else?
I still, and this is a really interesting thing for me, but I still think there's an awful lot of movement to go in dessert at the moment.
Dessert
sweet
only.
things. Sweet things, yeah.
Dessert bars.
Yeah, and I'm sitting in a world at the moment where my entire estate in ECE is covered in ice cafes, the traditional ice cafes. But they just don't rock it for me.
Like Milk by New York, or what you're thinking? Yeah,
much more visual, much more over the top, much more experiential, much more sharing, younger. And this is where I think the ice cafes, we have a problem with them in the longer term, because they are, again, this generational. You look at the age of the people that are there.
A 15-year-old goes to ice cafe.
Yeah.
It's not
so
sexy.
Giving them something, the modern equivalent of the ice cafe, still the same product in many ways, but dressing it up in a different way, making it much more fun and much more engaging. And then I think on the healthy side, interesting enough, it wouldn't be around food, it would be around healthy drinking. It would be around non-alcoholic bars. I'm still...
Mocktails, juice bars.
Absolutely. I am still very much into nighttime economy, but not necessarily anchored around alcohol. Because I think our youth these days are much more health conscious, and they are very aware of what alcohol does. And I think we can provide places for them to enjoy themselves around drink, which is not alcoholic. So I'm going to ask you a question. Because, I mean, Teddy talks are always nice, but I'm going to ask the Teddy himself. What do you think 2019 is going to bring?
I think, as you mentioned, we will keep on seeing consolidation. I think we really just saw the tip of the iceberg. We will see much more cross-border deals. We will see much bigger consolidation also on the operator, because before we only talked about brands. But also in terms of operator, we see now the continent is, we have Alshaya, we have Alsea, we have Amrest, and we have all the private equity with their operating fund. I think there, what is not as sexy to talk about, where like a brand merger, we see much more. I also believe in pizza. I think what we have seen in the burger trend, in the premium burger, we're going to see in the pizza. Premium pizza is something what really I truly believe, and there's no player out there. And the great thing about pizza is, for the customer, for the guest on the street, the burger price and the pizza price is almost the same. You can charge 10, 12 euro, maybe even 30 for a prosciutto funghi pizza, and probably you can charge the same for a burger. We both know the food cost is quite different, and also the skill set to make a good pizza is easier. But also there we saw a lot of mom and pops disrupted by L'Osteria, Vapiano, but we have done big restaurants and full menu. I really think specific pizza concepts I would throw into our fund.
Into the investment fund,
And I also see much more American chains coming to Europe. I see that a lot of people sniffing around who could be the players, because we have great concepts in the States. We talked about chicken before. Chick-fil-A is not here. What is a massive player there? The new pizza guys like Blaze, Mott's is trying it. I think we see much more fast casual chains. Panera Bread is not here. Now with the German family maybe coming, disrupting maybe the bakery coffee scene. Bread got a new owner. So far only in Paris and in London, maybe coming to Germany, Austria, Spain, etc. So I think we see much more out there. I share your view on the healthy concepts. I think we saw the young rebels starting with Dean and David, now Beats and Roots, but it goes to the same direction. There's a new concept in Amsterdam called vegan junk food.
Yes.
Really, really love it.
I know it well. Yeah.
90% of the customers are non-vegan. It's very colorful. It's junk food, but it's vegan. And the funny thing, you go in there, you order this junk food vegan burger, and guess what? It's 18 euro.
Yeah.
So try to find a burger what you can charge for 18. So I see
And they
that.
serve Fever Tree tonic.
True.
Yeah. It's beautiful. For me, I love it.
That's true. But to close this session, we talked a lot about 2018. We talked about the mergers. We talked about the digital. We saw your point of view on Germany. You reflected on the UK situation. We talked about the shopping center. So we looked a lot back. But now on the turning of the year, obviously, I need to ask you, what do you see 2019? How you see the industry? What's going to happen?
It's going to be the year that the retail landlord community wakes up and understands what it has to do to take advantage of the food service market and the leisure market. It's going to be the year when they're going to come up with some very creative solutions to that. I think we're going to see things that we've never seen before from the property community. We see it in small groups already, in small places. I think what they've done in King's Cross, the Argent team is in Cold Drop Yard, is absolutely outstanding. If you haven't been, go to London, go to King's Cross, go and have a look. It's amazing. But that's really, for me, taking the ingredients of great food service operators and a great industry and using it to help the property industry, but in a sustainable and long-term way, not in a short-term stuff it with restaurants and hope it'll be all right way. 2019 is definitely going to be the year that the property industry grew up. Yeah.
So what are we going to eat now? Where are we going now? It's going to get late. We have a dinner. So where we go?
Let's go and eat a teddy. No, we can't do that.
No, we cannot eat it. So what would be your choice for tonight in Hamburg? I'm very curious. It's 7 o'clock. So where are we going to go now?
Well, it's coming up to Christmas, and you see, and I have this slightly weird. No. I think we all know what we do with Glühwein, and it's not drink it. Yeah, I would go probably at the moment. I would go for beer, and then I would go and have a steak somewhere, a really good steak. That would be. Yeah, I don't eat much meat these days, but as I said, as a flexitarian, I eat lots and lots and lots of vegetarian food during the week. But I still crave a really good steak.
Now I get hungry. And we take the Curtis Brothers ketchup with us.
If we have to.
So thanks Jonathan for joining. Thanks guys for watching. And thank you for your time. Truly appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, Mario.
Thanks, it was good.
That was beautiful.